how to make a sugar nest. Sugar nest is a beautiful, sophisticated decoration for your pastries. It's also known as homemade cotton candy or sugar thread. To start with, I'm gonna need sugar, water, and a pot. A nice thick one because it distributes the heat better. Since this decoration must be white and not amber color, I'm going to use the wet method to create my caramel, so the sugar won't burn and it won't have the yellowish color. This method is also safer because it doesn't burn that quickly. Add 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water in a pot. Stir it slowly and carefully over medium heat, not to upset the sugar crystals. Once the sugar is dissolved, it's gonna look transparent just like this. Then you can increase the heat to high. After you increase the heat, don't ever stir that again. Now comes the most boring part of the job. You have to brush water on the sides of your pan. As this mixture boils, the sugar splashes some particles of itself in the walls of the pan. I know it sounds harmless, but actually sugar crystals are evil, because once it starts to crystallize in the wall of the pan, it works like a network. One sugar crystal crystallizes the next one, that crystallizes its neighbor, that crystallizes its community, and suddenly you have a pot filled with a hard rock sugar that is useless. The only thing you can do to avoid this sugar apocalypse is to actually brush some water in the inside walls of your pan. Once your syrup starts to thicken, you're gonna notice bigger bubbles in your boil. And the sound it creates when bubbling also changes from, like, let's say a young bird to a more mature bird, like. Then it's time to test its consistency. Add some of this syrup to a bowl filled with cold water. It should harden immediately, but let's see how hard it is. This one feels pretty malleable still, but it holds its shape, so it's called a soft crack stage. Wait for another minute and test it again. All of these stages happens before the caramel gains any color. Add some of it to the cold water again and test it one more time. This noise tells me that this is a hard crack stage. That's what I'm looking for. Turn off the heat immediately. This is the right way to identify the stages of your sugar syrup. I don't trust candy thermometers. They break easily and they make you depend on them. To me, identifying the stages of the sugar just with a pot of water, it's like identifying what time is it by the position of the sun. It's totally independent. Reserve a bowl filled with cold water and place your pan over it so it stops the cooking process. Remove the pan from the bowl and start creating your sugar nest. To help me here, I made a custom utensil. I bought a cheap whisk and cut the ends off, and this is what I came up with. It will help me to create thousands of threads at the same time, but a fork will also do it. Just by dipping and lifting from the sugar syrup, look at all this beautiful thread that it forms. But to create a more cotton candy kind of look, this is what we are gonna do. With the help of a rolling pin or the handle of a pan, you're gonna dip this into sugar and shake it super fast so the threads stick to the rolling pin. Watch the magic happening in slow motion. Beautiful, delicate threads of sugar is created. So thin that it looks like a spider web. Collect everything from the rolling pin and from the rest of your house, which is gonna be covered in sugar, and form into any shape you want. Since it's so white, what I like to do is to involve it around a raspberry. I think it looks sophisticated. Carefully shape your thread and keep in mind that if this decoration comes in contact with liquid, it will melt. So you better not use very juicy raspberries. Today you learned how to create sugar threads. Next video you learn how to caramelize fruits, nuts, and how to create a sugar cage. Check out my website for more recipes, tips, and my shop. Bye, people!